Hey, this would be a really good snippet to put at the beginning of the episode where you're drinking a beer and you're like,
I'm sweating my ass off. Welcome back to another episode of the Popcorn and the Phase Pod. I am today's host, Valerie McDonald, and I am joined by only one co-host today, Connor Busella. We are starting a new series, and it is going to be called our Horror Corner, where we will talk about all things the horror genre. Matthew is not joining us today because for a couple of reasons. One, he is busy off being a new dad, but he also hates horror. So we took this opportunity to do a little bit of recording and talk about some recent horror movies that have come out that we've seen. I'm kind of envisioning this series as a little bit of a catch-all for discussions related to the horror genre, recaps of recent movies, maybe different trends in the genre, other hot topics. So if you're interested in horror, be sure to tune in to this series. Not sure how much we'll do them, especially like I mentioned, because Matthew doesn't like the genre. But yeah, anytime that we feel like there's a new movie that came out that we want to talk about, or something along, or just even trends, like I mentioned in the genre, we'll probably try to hop on and do kind of a shorter episode. These episodes won't be too long. But yeah, and also if you have any recommendations of any movies or concepts within the genre that you want us to cover, please let us know. So this year we were a little more than halfway through 2026, and we've had some of the most anticipated horror movies that have already come and left theaters. And we just want to do a little recap of our first impressions. As you can imagine, we're going to be discussing Obsession and Backrooms today, two of the big ones. We'll probably talk a little bit about the impact that these movies could have on the industry. We're not doing our normal categories. This is just going to be more of an open discussion type of an episode. And before we dive in, just major spoiler warnings. We will be discussing all things related to the plots of these movies. So if you haven't seen them and you are interested in watching them, definitely don't watch this episode. So, all right, to kick it off, what are your pre-watch thoughts? So before watching, we'll start with the Backrooms movie. So before watching the Backrooms, what did you kind of think that the movie was going to entail? Were you excited for it? Were you planning on watching it before all of the hype? Just anything along those lines?
I was medium interest in checking this one out. It wasn't like on the top of my have to go see this list for this year. But as a fan of, I'm going to dial that back. Not necessarily a fan of Backrooms content, but I was aware of it for a while. Seeing that this like young kid was making this, like it was really cool that this was even happening, that he was given a budget. He got a great cast. Really cool bringing this idea to life. So I was definitely going to watch it, whether it was in theaters or, oh, if I missed this one in theaters, I was going to check it out later. But like you said, it became a phenomenon. And I really did want to see this one in theaters. So I was able to catch it about a month after it was released, which is very rare to be able to catch a smallish budget movie over a month after release. I mean, these are pretty quickly on streaming, like in fairly, a month or 2 months, you can find these
Yeah.
on some sort of streaming site. So the fact that these are, I mean, I was just looking at Showtimes. Both of these movies are still playing in the theaters this
Which is
week. This is
crazy. So,
crazy.
okay, so correction to what I said earlier, they have not both come and left the theaters. I
Yeah, they're
I thought for
still
sure
playing.
they'd be out now. I thought when I saw them, it was already a little late for me to see them too, and I was even nervous that I wasn't going to be able to get to see them in theaters because it had already been a while, and I was kind of like rushing to get in, but they just keep extending it. They're making money.
They're still
They're
making money.
yeah. So it's
Um,
awesome.
you, when I went to see the Backrooms, it was I checked earlier in the day, and that specific showtime had barely any seats sold. So I was like, oh, I won't even pre-purchase. I'll get them when I get to the theater. Got there, and almost the whole theater was sold out.
Yeah.
And it was one of the
Crazy.
smaller ones, but it was like still there was like barely any seats left.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience with Obsession just a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah.
It was
Same.
like, oh, there's going to be plenty of seats, and then you look, and it's like, oh my god, like this theater's 3/4 full, and this movie's been out a month. What's going on?
I know, seriously, when I saw both, it was a full theater and it was like challenging to get two seats together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. Similarly, I was like I had heard about this movie and like I knew it was coming, but I am a fan of like the Backrooms content and I have definitely known that this movie was coming for a while. Super
Mhm.
excited. I would say more excited for this movie than I was for Obsession just because I knew I had been following it since they announced that this was going to be happening. I remember when those clips first started circulating on like YouTube and TikTok back in 2022.
Mhm.
I've kind of always been a fan of kind of like unexplained footage type of clips that have circulated around YouTube for years. Like I feel like growing up, like I always would watch those like weird YouTube channel like compilation
Mhm.
videos of like we don't know where this video came
The five
from.
scariest bits of yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like I always was watching stuff like that, so this is right up my alley. Like I was so excited. I know all about the back rooms. I was very, very excited. And yeah, really just any like amateur filmmaker creating like weird footage online is like that's my go-to. That's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I was super excited. I had pretty high expectations just because of the fact that Kane Parsons, the original YouTube creator, was attached to this project. So I kind of like expected it to live up to the hype. But yeah, I was super, super excited. And yeah. Um,
I'd agree, though. I think the between the two, Backrooms was the one I was more anticipating seeing.
yeah.
And as it started getting closer and the buzz started building, I want to say that kind of flipped for me. And I was like more eagerly wanting to go see Obsession over Backrooms. And that is the order in which I saw them. I did watch Obsession first and then thought Backrooms was going to be out of theaters. But luckily enough, I was able to catch that.
Yeah. I do think that they're very we'll get into this probably a little bit more later, but they're very different movies. It's like
Mhm.
I feel like yes, they're both young filmmakers getting into the mix of things and but they're very different. I feel like Backrooms to me
Oh, yeah.
is a really cool unique concept but much more of a standard horror movie, whereas I felt like Obsession maybe not as unique of a concept, but it was not to me a standard horror movie. Like it felt
Hmm.
like an indie film and like it was in the best way. So I do feel like they had very different vibes. But yeah, it is awesome to see that they've both made so much money and have really like just become really popular movies and it's like everybody is going to see them because of the hype, like whether people like
Hmm.
horror or not. It's actually kind of funny. I've been seeing like internet reactions of people who like don't like horror are going and seeing them and they're like, I hated it. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have gone and
It wasn't for you.
yeah, it definitely wasn't for you. You were not the target audience, and now you're just like muddying up the whole discourse with saying that you hate it. It's like get out of here.
But they contributed to the box office, which
Very
has
true.
done
Very true.
exceptionally well for both of these movies. I
Yeah.
mean, like you commented on their age, but I mean the budget as well. I
Yeah.
mean, Gray Barker, 25 years old when he made this, worked with under $1 million budget to make Obsession, and Kane Parsons, 20 years old. He had a little bit more of a budget. He had $12 million to work with for A24, but still, I mean, that's
Yeah.
relatively both small budget movies, both very young, first time filmmakers, and it resulted in this Barbenheimer esque
Yeah.
huge movie
It was
going
awesome.
event. It was awesome, and both were really fun to watch in theaters with other
Yeah,
people. I mean,
definitely.
they were both very lively crowds, and like I said, it was not. I didn't see it opening weekend. Like, these were lively crowds
Yeah.
4 or 5 weeks after release, and it was really, really something.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of which, what was your immediate theater reaction to seeing Backrooms?
So, for Backrooms, there was a lot that was, like you said, it was very traditional horror. Less, I thought it was less scary than I thought it was going to be. It was made really, really well. The parts of the story were really what didn't work for me as well. I didn't much enjoy the whole subplot with the therapist and him in therapy, and I didn't really like the on the noseness of like we're deep in your brain and your trauma. But I told you when I went and saw it that I was seeing everything must go version with the
Oh
deleted
yeah.
scenes
Yep.
on the tag at the end of it. And that was about like a 12-minute scene, but that scene was the basically the prelude to the movie. You see that really short snippet
Hmm.
of the team in there, and they're exploring and documenting the back rooms, and it was very much that for 12 minutes. Basically a YouTube backrooms video, but done with a budget. So, I mean, it was a really cool way of taking that content that's been really popular online for the last 4 years or so and giving that theatrical boost, that like that big movie budget type of feel to it. That was really cool. I wish there was more of that in the movie. More of just the creepiness, the like peeking behind the corners and seeing the weird stuff in there. The more that the movie showed us the weirdness of the back rooms and like the depths of it, I was like really, really into that. And then every time something crazy would happen, we would cut to the his therapist when she was a little girl and her experiencing trauma to lead to build up to the next scene. And
Yeah.
I probably could have gone without any of the trauma explanation of why these two people are flawed in the way that they are, and I could have just spent the whole movie peeking behind corners in the back rooms.
I get that, but I also do think that you can't make a movie out of just that. It's like there has to
Yeah.
be a deeper level somewhere, and I think like that's
Mhm.
why they went with this. This is just like one offshoot, like within the whole like Backrooms universe. It's like this is just one or two people's story.
Mhm.
So I get where you're coming from, but I do think that they kind of accomplished that pretty well in the beginning. Like I do feel like that eeriness of when he was first exploring the back rooms and like when
Yes.
like it was, I thought that they did that really well. They accomplished that vibe like to a T, like
That
which
was one of the best parts of the whole movie
yeah,
when he first
it was,
experiences
that
it.
was really cool. Yeah, so but I get where you're coming from. Where, and I was gonna maybe talk about this like a little bit later within like the what I liked versus what I didn't like. But I do feel as though almost like the less you know, the better. Like the more
Mhm.
mystery, the better. That was like one of the things that didn't land with me, and I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I know I
But
kinda jumped the gun
no,
on
no, that's
what worked
okay.
and didn't
But
work.
yeah, and so in terms of immediate theater reaction, you kind of were like a little bit like off put by like a couple of the parts of the plot that you kind of
I
like.
can't even say I was off put. I mean, the movie was made exceptionally well. It was
Yeah.
beautiful, it was eerie, it had great sound design. The performance of the lead, can you help me remember his name?
Yes, I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure that I pronounced it correctly. It's Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah,
Okay.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. I might
He's
still be saying it wrong, but I think that's what it is. He's so
I'm
good.
not even gonna attempt because I'm gonna get
He's
it even
so
more wrong.
he is so
He was
good.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
good in
phenomenal.
everything.
There was just I didn't want to be like a Debbie Downer because the movie was really, really impressive. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, this 20-year-old. It was none of that. Like the movie was
Yeah.
amazing. It was a very fun horror movie to see in the theaters. Um, I just thought the story was like the weakest part of it. But I mean, it was shot exceptionally well. I I really did enjoy watching it. There was nothing visually that I didn't enjoy. It was just the there was that sequence where it's the Christmas room when he stumbles upon the Christmas room. That's probably one of the scariest
Yeah,
points in the
that
whole
yeah.
movie. That was wild. And then it cuts right to the therapist as a little girl and her mom is unwell and scaring her about not going
Boring.
outside. And I was just like, go back to
Yeah.
the creepy.
No,
Go back to
I
the
get that.
creepy. I don't care about their past traumas.
I get that. That, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but that was kind of like what the movie was about. Like it was about how the back rooms take your past traumas and like remember like you know what I mean? So I feel like I get where you're
Yeah.
coming from, but that also just like that's just what the movie was, that was what it was about. That was the like offshoot that he chose to like go with it.
Hmm.
I did like it. I My immediate reaction was that I think maybe the last 20 to 30 minutes were kind of like a lot to process. And I was just kind of like, whoa, like a lot happened kind of fast. yes. And I knew basically my immediate theater reaction was like, I'm going to go home and watch a million YouTube videos and TikToks because I
Mhm.
want to know everything and like understand everything. Basically my immediate reaction was like, that was a lot and I want to know more.
And
Um,
I'm ready to jump down the
Yes,
rabbit hole.
yep, yeah. I did enjoy it though. I actually had a different take. I thought that it was scarier than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
I thought that it was going to lean more into like the vague like mystery, which like is scary in its own right, but like that's not like the like jump scare horror like whatever. Like that
Mhm.
whole dinner scene, like he was scary, creepy, good in that. Like I was like when he,
Creepy, scary.
yeah,
Yeah.
like where it maybe not in the sense where it's like it wasn't like extremely gory and it wasn't like so many crazy jump scares, like it wasn't like that type of horror, but like I thought that when he was like you can eat them and like pulling out the like stuff on the
That
guy, like
was
that was
that was
scary.
kind of funny. People laughed. People laughed in my theater
I
when
really,
he
I
did
thought that
that.
was
Yeah.
scary. Like I was like, oh my god. I was like, he's been lost to the back rooms. Like he's unhinged. Like
Yeah.
this is so
It was
spooky.
disturbing for
Yeah,
sure.
I thought it was
But
more disturbing than like I thought it was gonna be. Like they went down. Like I guess I thought it was gonna be kind of what you wanted it to be. Like I thought it was gonna be a little more like of the vague, like just things peeking around the corner. You don't really know anything, but they actually did kind of dive a little bit more into it, and like it was just a little. It almost like they gave me more than like I thought they were going to, if that
it
makes
gave me
sense.
more than I wanted. And
I get
I'm a
it.
big Mark Duplass fan, but the whole ending with
Yeah, that
the
didn't land as well
scientist
for me.
and I didn't love that. I
Yeah,
liked all the people involved in that, but it was I don't know, all the inserted portions of the story I thought were just a little lackluster, but every minute that we spent in the actual back rooms I thought was really cool.
yeah, I get that. Since you clearly hated it, is there anything that you did like? No,
No,
I'm just
I
kidding.
really liked it. I really did enjoy it. Tough though because I know you watched this one first and then Obsession.
Yeah,
And I know we're gonna switch over to Obsession soon, but I saw Obsession first, and with these two movies being kind of lumped together in this
yeah.
cultural moment right now, I almost wish I had seen Backrooms first and then Obsession because Obsession was something else.
Yeah, no,
And
I totally get that. I actually I am happy that I saw Backrooms first, just because again, like I said, like they're so different, and I went into Backrooms with a
mhm,
more like open lens. Like I was like, okay, like whatever, like I'm excited to see this. Like I had high expectations, but I was also like didn't really fully know what to expect. I also did see
yeah.
Backrooms like much earlier in the like
Oh, yeah, you saw that early
yeah, I
on.
saw that like it was only out for like a week or two when I did see it, so there was less
Mhm,
out on like the internet at that time about like examining everything. It was less people talking about it. Like people still were obviously after a couple weeks, but like it was like after a couple of weeks even after that, it was like
mhm,
everybody was talking about it. It was like just so big and so huge, and people were like hyping other people up to go see it, and it just like became this huge thing. So I do feel like I am glad that I saw Backrooms first. I think I was able to almost enjoy it more because of that, like, which like you're saying, like Obsession was so good in a different way that it almost like you're like nothing could beat this. It's so good. So
yeah.
I get that. I feel just to go into like I guess a couple of specific things that I liked about Backrooms. Like I kind of mentioned before, I do think that they hit the nail on the head with the specific vibe of the internet lore. Like I think
Mhm,
that the production design was absolutely wonderful. I think they captured it to a T. Like the ongoing like yellow rooms and just like the weird like the guys in like the hazmat suits, like they really
yeah.
like they got all of the key pieces that I feel like people were looking for in which I was looking for, and I really enjoyed the production design. I thought it was fantastic. We already kind of touched on this, but I thought that Chiwetel Ejiofor's performance was fantastic. He did so good. He, like I said, he was scary. He was creepy. He was like unpredictable, unhinged. Like I know this is
Mhm.
like a naive mindset, but like I fully went in thinking that he was going to be like the hero of the story,
Yeah, it
and I
definitely
did
was
not.
marketed that way.
Yeah, I thought it was like this helping this poor guy get out of here and like help him heal. Like I did not realize that he was just gonna be like, "Yep, I'm not gonna change. Like I'm all
Yeah.
set." Like and so I felt his like that like his frustrations, the creepiness, everything like really well through
Mhm.
the screen. Very pleased with his performance. And then Also, I really enjoyed the use of practical effects. I know that the
Mhm.
Captain Clark was a little like wonky looking, but the fact that that was practical effects, like I can
No, it was
really
cool.
really really appreciate that, especially like
Also got a laugh the first time
yeah,
that
that
his
yeah.
face was shown. That got a laugh in the theater.
Yeah, they definitely accomplished like the wonkiness of like the remembering, and that I think that
Hmm.
it was a little jarring seeing that at first. I was like,
They
whoa,
also explained it
yeah, yeah, fair.
very on the nose. Explained what we were seeing.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I think the practical effects were great. Like I said, I always appreciate that. And it's like of course like good CGI is like always really
Hmm.
entertaining when it's done well. But something about practical effects specifically in horror, it's just like really it's like a match made in heaven. It's like you need like
Yeah.
it's almost like you should always have some form of practical
Hmm.
effects in horror. It makes more sense. It's like it just yeah, I love it. So I thought that that was cool, and especially in a world where like filmmakers are increasingly using generative AI, in which is like really crazy considering that like I know that it's hard to get people to do advanced computer work nowadays. So I think I understand why a lot of people lean on AI. Don't agree with it, but I think like in a world where that is kind of happening, I do feel like it's refreshing to see people taking a leap and continuing to do these practical effects and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. And then
I agree.
lastly, I think that they did not try to boil the ocean with this concept. I think that liked that they kind of focused on, they honed in on just like two people's stories, despite what
Hmm.
you think about those actual stories. I was like, I don't really think they tried to dive in too deep to the why behind it all. And like, yes, they did explain a couple things on the nose, but they really didn't go too deep into like how, like, where does this come
Why
from?
it
Yeah,
started?
why it
Yeah,
started. Like, and I like that. Like,
I
I think
appreciate that.
yeah, I think it leaves it open ended, and I do really like that. So yeah, I think
That's what I thought that end scene was going to be. Was just further explaining everything,
yeah,
and I'm glad it wasn't.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah, I think that's kind of overall. I feel like those are like the main points that I really enjoyed. I really did think it
mhm.
was a good movie, and despite the little like plot things that
Oh
maybe
yeah.
were like, I do think that hit the nail on the head with the concept, and
Hmm.
it's refreshing to see a movie that doesn't explain everything like oh like it's a demon all along or like oh
Yeah.
it's aliens, it's the devil. It's like it's always like something like that where it's
Hmm.
like they've been
I like the
possessed. It's like that's
ambiguous nature of
yeah,
that.
I love. I said it in our American Psycho episode, but like I really love an ambiguous ending, and I do feel like
Hmm.
yes, they did explain certain things like kind of on the nose. They did keep the concept ambiguous, which like I think
Yeah.
it kind of is nice to see that they didn't like spoil the whole concept by like having this crazy movie that says exactly what it
Mhm.
is. It still keeps some of the mystery,
Okay.
but
Out of 5 popcorn buckets, what would you give it?
I give it a 4. I really enjoyed
You give
it.
it a 4?
Yeah, as I say, I had a great time watching it. I had fun watching it. It gave me the creepiness and like the specific horror components that like I'm looking for when I go and watch a
Hmm.
movie. So yeah, I give it a 4. But what
I'm
about
at a
you?
3.5
3.5?
because
Okay.
I agree with everything you said. It was just some of and it wasn't anything performance. It wasn't anything
Yeah.
technical. It really was just some of the story beats were just kind of like, come on,
Yeah, I get
bring me back into the weird. I
it.
don't
Yeah,
need to see this.
I get it.
The one shot I really liked was the memories as the
Hmm.
room keeps funneling down and getting more and more backrooms esque. That was really cool. That is all they should have shown us
I
and not
know.
explained anything. They could have just shown us that 10-second scene of the room she grew up in, to the misremembered version, to the furniture sticking out
Yeah,
of the walls, to the
that was
now the
cool.
door and windows are gone. Now it's all yellow. Now it's just a yellow room, back rooms. Like just the misremembering layers and layers and layers.
Yeah,
Thought that was done really well, and that's all you needed to explain that concept.
I get it.
Like everything was there really technically, and I really did enjoy it. There's just a few things that didn't work for me personally.
That makes sense. Any specific things that you want to point out that I mean, you already kind of talked about like some of the plot things, but was there anything else specifically that you didn't like about the movie? I have a couple little things, but
Not really.
okay.
I the any moment that we were in the room, his descending into madness in there, Even however brief they were, his two coworker or his
Yeah,
two
I love that
employees,
part.
they were funny, and then him getting grabbed was like really one of the scarier points of this movie.
Yeah,
Um, I could have just, instead of it being like trauma and memory, I almost wished it was more of like a descending into like the circles of hell. Like the
interesting.
further you got from that entrance, the crazier and darker and
Yeah.
more twisted it gets. And
I like that, or almost even like your own internal demons that we all already have
yep.
come out more like that, which kind of is what happened a little bit, but like it was
Mhm.
less about trauma and maybe more about like it allows you to be your worst self in every way. Like the deeper you get
Yeah.
in, the more lost you get, which like
Mhm.
again kind of happened a little bit, but it was more of like people who have
Yeah.
trauma are the ones that are gonna.
The misremembered faces
Yeah,
of people was really
yeah,
disturbing. I
that was
liked
good.
that. Um, I really, really did like it. I'm not trying to shit on this movie because I thought it was extremely well done.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. There were only a couple things that didn't necessarily land with me, and one of which is kind of like a technical thing, and that was that the pacing was a little bit off for me. I
Mm.
felt like it was. I don't want to say it was slow because it didn't feel slow when I was watching it, but I would say like the first like 3 quarters of the movie were so much slower compared to the final quarter of the movie. Like I mentioned in the beginning, like that last like 20 to 30 minutes, it was like there was a lot. All of a sudden, it was like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom. It
once
was like,
she entered the
yeah, it
back
was like,
rooms,
it just everything
it
moved so
felt
fast. It was
different.
like he confronted like all of his feelings with her, and then it was like all of a sudden like the entity came in and like bit him, and then it was a chase scene, and then she was in the lab with like I it just all happened really fast, and I do feel like that could have been stretched out a little bit more, maybe given us a little bit more time to like process all of that happened in the final quarter, because again like the first 3 quarters it was really like easing you into everything. It felt like the
Mhm.
like not that I'm an expert by any means when it comes to like filmmaking, of course, but like the pacing was a little bit off for me. It felt like it was just the ending was just a little bit like too quick and like I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bit rushed and
Yeah. Um,
started trying to do a little bit too much at the end.
exactly. Yeah, that's what
I
I was
agree.
kind of thinking before. It was like when you were saying like you wish that it was more of that. I do agree in the sense that like if they were going to do a crazy ending like that, they needed to tee it up a little sooner. If they weren't going to do it, don't do it at all. It was like it just
Yeah.
was almost like they were trying to have the best of both worlds where it was like they had that like slow, creepy, mysterious, but then also like a traditional horror ending sequence where there's like a
Mhm.
chase scene and like whatever.
We got a final girl after all.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that might have been one thing that I was just kind of like, okay, like the pacing did feel a little off. And then I kind of also already mentioned it a little bit earlier too, but I do wish that maybe the entity did not look as much like Captain Clark. I think I can insert a picture of like what I was envisioning that it was going to look like because there is like an image of like this more like stick figure type of thing that's like been out on the internet. And I think like that's what a lot of people, including myself, like thought the entity was going to look a little bit more like,
Mm.
and what I assume that stick figure thing is like just more like rememberings like later, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
know that's probably not the right word, but like it's been remembered
More
like many,
layers,
yeah,
yeah.
more layers, more like so much so that it's like barely looks like a human at all. Like I think like that's what I thought it was going to be. But I guess if you think about it, it makes sense that that isn't what it was because he wasn't in there that long. Like he was, I guess it wouldn't have had time to get to that point.
Mhm.
So I like I understand why they did what they did, but I think I was just kind of like hoping that it was going to be a little more of like that like stick figure type thing where it's like a creepy weird entity that like you don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, those would be my only things. Otherwise, I liked it. I thought it was, or I didn't like it. I loved it. I thought the concept
Mhm.
was great. Definitely an original concept. Like it was just yeah, it hit the nail on the head for me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, just really cool that he got to do this from being
Me too.
the
Yeah.
one putting up these early creepy videos on YouTube to
Yeah.
taking the helm and making this movie and then seeing it become as big as it was. I did just pull up. It is closing in on $400,000. It is still in theaters. It might not get there because it is winding down, but it is at like $370 million on a
You said
$12 million
you
budget.
said $400,000 at first.
Oh,
I was
400,000.
like, wait,
My mistake.
what? They
400
lost
million.
a ton of money. I was like,
No, I mean, this is, you've probably seen it elsewhere too. I mean, these movies increased in what they were making. Like, I mean, the buzz grew, the attention, and it felt like anyone who was remotely interested went and saw these.
yeah,
And these are like rated R horror movies
yeah.
that opened up huge and just continued to perform.
Definitely. I'm very, very pleased with how well it did and that the people were actually interested in going and seeing this. All right, let's move into Obsession, starting with pre-watch thoughts. What did you think about this movie before going to the theaters to see it?
So I was definitely more familiar with Curry Barker than I was with Kane Parsons, just as like YouTube personality goes. Definitely was less anticipating it until we got a little closer to it. Seemed very interesting. Seemed like a creepy, monkey's paw type of story, which it was in a way. I didn't think it was going to be as scary as it was. I very much, as I was getting closer and closer, as it's out and it's creating all this buzz, I was like, I need to go see this movie. I need to go see this. And then you texted me that it was way scarier than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I need to go see this movie ASAP. Um, I was, I'll save that for later. But
Okay.
what were you thinking going into this one?
So I initially had not known about this one as far in advance as I knew about Backrooms. I think I was watching, I want to say Strangers 2, which like not a good movie, but I saw that in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that this was a preview when I saw that, which came out last year. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, whatever. Looks like a standard horror movie. And then people started like really hyping it up. And I was like, yeah, I'll go see it. Cause like I have every intention of watching every horror movie that comes out because that's just like my
Mm-hmm.
favorite genre. So I always see every new horror movie. But I was probably not going to see it in theaters. Then I saw people hyping it up. And again, I thought people always hype up a scary movie and say it's so scary and so good. And like, then I end up going and seeing it and it's the most standard movie that you've ever seen. So I'm like, are people just like hyping this up for no reason right now? And then I actually saw that clip of them in the at the restaurant when she's like, don't do that, and like that whole part, and I was like, she's like actually a fire actress. Even just from that one
Mm-hmm.
clip alone, I was like very much pulled in. So once I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go see this in theaters, and like the hype only kept growing. So then I was getting really excited, and yeah, I definitely was not initially even that excited about it or didn't even know much about it. I didn't know the details. I didn't know like the budget. I didn't know that the cast and crew were so young. Like I didn't really know any of that going into it until I started like reading more about it and getting more excited. And then, yeah, then eventually ended up seeing it. And we can dive into our immediate theater reactions just because I feel like that's makes sense now. But I loved this movie. It was so, so, so good. Like I said, when I texted you, I literally like drove home in silence after that movie. Like I was like, wow, that was so much scarier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So much more intense, like so much like deeper than I thought it was going to be. Like I'm so used to like horror movies not really having like that deep of a plot. Like not all of them, some of them are of course, but like a lot of them are just like pretty surface level. Your
Mm-hmm.
demons, your devil, your ghosts, your aliens, whatever, stuff like that. But this one was special. I immediately loved it. I was just, yeah, really, really pleased with and honestly shocked, like we were saying, about how scary it was. It was one of the best movies that I've seen this year. Not even just horror, it's one of the best movies that I've seen this year,
Yeah.
like hands down. So good.
It's in my top three of 2026. I thought this movie
Yeah.
was like phenomenal.
Yeah.
I thought it was so good. The performances were
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. I immediately stepping out of there, I was like in shock how good it
Yeah.
was. And I didn't do the rabbit hole for Backrooms yet, but I did that night watch like 2 hours
Oh,
worth of
same.
content surrounding
Yeah.
Obsession.
I was like, I want to know
Interviews.
everything about the One Wish Willow that I possibly can.
Yeah. And you know what? I really like that they didn't get into much of the lore at all.
Yeah.
There was like little snippets. I mean, the movie was really funny, but it like didn't try to over explain anything or like anything at
Yep.
all. I mean, there the scene where he calls and it's Curry Barker on the phone and
That was
he's
like my
like,
favorite scene.
I need to alter my wish. And it's like that was just like so it's like he keeps writing scary and funny. He keeps
Yeah.
writing that line really well. And then when it gets taken just that little bit too far and it's horrifying,
Yep.
and then it moves past.
That was
And
one of
there
my
was just
favorite
so much
parts.
attention to detail. That was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was one of my favorite parts of the movie was like the quick like tone shifts. Like I love that. It was like you will see something like someone will say something that's like actually kind of funny or like they'll say it in a funny way and like
Mhm.
the whole audience will be laughing like in the theater and then like immediately it cuts to
You're
like
horrified before
yeah,
the laugh is gone.
yeah, I was gonna say and then it immediately cuts to like something sick and twisted that like you're like, oh my god. Or it's like just the really really quick cuts between the scenes like where like the complete tone shifts like it was
Mhm.
just I really liked that. I feel like it kept you on your toes. It was an emotional
Yeah.
roller coaster. It was like you didn't know what the next scene was going to entail. It was like, is this going to be like a funny silly moment or is it going to be Bear assaulting her? It's like you don't know
Yeah.
what you're going to get. So yeah, that I thought was good. And I kept seeing people online being like it was so messed up, like people were laughing in the theater when like Bear was having sex with her. It was like people they were like that's so messed up, but it's like I don't think that that was meant to be funny, but I do think that like the whole audience had just been laughing from something else, so it was
Yeah.
like an awkward like shift of the tone, which I liked. It made it awkward, it made it uncomfortable, and I think like that's probably what they were going for.
That's what it
Um,
wasn't laugh at this
yeah,
like
yeah,
sexual assault happening. It
exactly.
was
It was like the tone just
like
shifted so fast, and we were
yeah.
all like, "Whoa!" So I feel like it was just more of like almost like uncomfortable, like shock laughter that like the audience. It
Mhm.
wasn't. No one. I don't think. At least I hope not. People weren't laughing at that. Like that's not funny. But it
No, I
was
don't
just the
think
fact that
people
we
were.
were all so uncomfortable that it was just like I liked that.
Yeah, it
Or it
was
was like the
people's
whole.
release, and he
Yes.
plays with that. He knows
Yep.
when you'd be laughing, and
Yeah.
then he knows how to end that quick and send you to
Yeah.
the back of your chair.
Yep. So yeah,
Uh,
I love the quick tone shifts. Obviously, you already mentioned the performances ridiculous. I feel like we can't even talk about what we liked without focusing on the
yeah,
performances.
Indy Navarrete.
I think so. Yeah,
It's 2026. It's July of 2026. I think that was the best performance of the year so far.
it was so
And
good.
everything that I have seen this year, I think that's above like Gosling in Project Hail
Oh,
Mary. Like she was so good in this
yes.
movie.
It's
It
just
was wild.
she just like I know she's been acting and she's been in a couple other things, but it's like the whole idea of like seeing new faces in
Mhm.
movies that has just so refreshing, and it's like giving these people who are like lesser known actors like a chance to shine, and they did indeed shine. Like they
Yeah,
were
it was a
so
great
good.
role.
It's
It was
so
a great
good.
role, and she
Yeah,
made the most of it. I mean, the
definitely.
faces, the facial acting, the physical acting. I know some of the stuff. I saw one of the videos when I was mid rabbit hole. They had I think like a ballet dancer do some of the weird
Yes, I
movement.
saw that. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, people have stunt doubles all the time,
Yeah.
like, but the facial acting she was doing. Did you see the images of where they do her makeup in a weird way for the
Yes.
shadow?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So
Like those are incredible camera tricks.
I actually wanted to bring that up too because that like style of makeup, like I like watch people do that all the time, and it's like they call it like the uncanny valley makeup,
Yeah.
basically, where it's like very unsettling. Like it looks like a
Mhm.
human, but also kind of doesn't look like a human, and it like makes humans uncomfortable to see like that type of look. And it's like a whole style of makeup. Like people on TikTok,
Yeah, it's
on
like
YouTube, like do
incorrect
makeup tutorials.
shading of the face.
Yes,
That's like
exactly. It's just like weird, uncomfortable. And like that is like a very like I don't want to say like popular right now, but because I'm sure it's been around for
it
ages.
exists.
But it is, yeah, but it is very popular right now. And like a lot of people are like showing their own like renditions of like uncanny valley
Mhm.
makeup. And I feel like just like including that in the movie is like almost like really rewarding for like a Gen Z horror fan like
Yeah,
myself, where it's like, oh my God, like I love that they did that. Like it was just so cool like seeing like them incorporate different stuff like that, and yeah, just
that
amazing
scene too
overall.
when she's in the corner
It was
watching him sleep.
spooky.
That was early on in the movie too,
Yeah, pretty much.
and up until that point, it was like rom com, like a twisted version of a rom com kind of movie vibe, where you told me it was scary too. So I'm like, at this point in the movie, I'm just like, okay, it hasn't really been that scary. Like, and it didn't go places that it didn't seem like it wasn't going to go. You were never like flabbergasted by a direction of the movie,
Yeah.
but it was just some of her behaviors are so shocking and
Yeah.
disturbing that it isn't like I saw Chris Ryan talk about this, and he was saying there's no scenes you can really spoil in this movie. There's no shocks or twists. It's just her acting is like
Yeah,
really disturbing in some scenes that you
definitely.
don't even know how to explain. You couldn't spoil certain scares in this movie to someone if you were trying to,
Yeah, because
because
it was
it's
very
just like
standard, it was very standard, like, things that would happen in a horror movie, like, even the part when she runs up on Sarah in the car, it's like, you know it's gonna happen, like,
you knew that was
you knew it was
coming,
about to happen, like, I can see in my mind, I'm like, "That is just the way
and it
this
went
movie's going,"
full
and I still
Once
freaked
Upon a
out.
Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt versus the hippies, for like just the
Yep.
over gratuitous, gruesome gore
Yeah, and it's like
smashing her
literally
face.
you know what's gonna happen, and it's like you were just saying, like there you couldn't spoil that because it's like
Yeah,
yeah, people are gonna die, like everyone dies, like that's what
well,
happens in horror
you
movies, like
knew
you know what I
that
mean?
was going to happen, but at the party scene, you knew something like her dragging Sarah's chair away was going to happen, but you didn't expect the bottle scene
Yeah,
like that. You didn't see that coming. You saw her like causing a scene, the making the frowny face, being weird is like that. All you, the second she was like, "Okay, I'll come to that party with you," you knew those types of things were going to happen. But
yeah,
then it just, and they're played for laughs, and you're laughing at how cringy and awkward and weird it is. And while you're laughing, then she breaks the bottle and stabs
yeah.
herself in the face, and
Yes,
it's like
it's
the
so
most
uncomfortable, and
horrifying.
I saw something that's I can't remember if it was Curry Barker or if it was one of the actors, but they said that they wanted her to act like a clingy, annoying girlfriend. Like that was like
Hmm.
what she was trying to act like in certain scenes, obviously switching then in between with the like horrific like scary acting too,
Yeah.
but part of what her like role was to act like a clingy girlfriend, and it's like that's
Hmm.
the parts that were funny, where it's like she's like smile like her just different stuff like that. It's like it's creepy, but it's also kind of like clingy girlfriend vibes. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's kind of like funny to a certain extent. And then she'll, like you said, then she'll do something like that, but that wasn't even her. That was like actually her. So she
Yeah.
snapped out of it really
The
quick.
real Nikki.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Which
it
any
was
of
just
those scenes when we got to experience real Nikki during the Wish was like really scary. There's
yeah,
the scream on the phone. There was the first night when she's like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
yeah.
And the bottle. And there was another one too.
Even
When
when
she
she
was like
first,
whispering in bed.
oh, that too, yeah,
Oh, that was creepy. Like
yeah,
those were all really effective scenes.
yep. I think even when the wish was first like unleashed on her, like when
Mhm.
he's in the car and she comes back out and like she starts like laughing, she's like, I'm being so weird right now.
That's so weird.
She like
Yeah.
locks back in again and then she like locks back out. It was almost like the wish was like figuring itself out in her
Hmm.
like really quickly. And like that scene, her acting was like absolute 10 out of 12 out of 10. She
Yeah.
was so good in that scene.
That was so good.
Yeah. It's like she feels like a real person in every single way. Honestly, so did Michael Johnson who plays Bear, and honestly,
Hmm.
even I even really enjoyed watching Cooper Tomlinson who played Ian. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching him
And
too.
I
He
forget
felt
her
like
name.
I can't
The
remember
girl who played
Sarah's.
Sarah. She's
Yeah.
gotten a couple bigger movies coming up.
Yeah.
She's got
And oh,
another. She's
so
the lead
good.
in a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then Cooper, him and Curry Barker have a bunch of that YouTube content together. They've
Yes.
been like
Yep.
partners for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, Cooper Tomlinson, I felt like it didn't even feel like he was acting. Like that just felt
Mhm.
like somebody that you'd know from college.
They
Like, you know
all
what I
felt
mean?
like very
Yeah.
real post grad.
Yep.
I mean, the characters were super grounded. They didn't explain. I just loved how much it didn't explain. It just dropped us in their lives,
Yeah.
and we just got a great grasp on who all of them were.
Yeah.
And you were just like, okay, this is the friend group, and then it just like just ramped up from there. It was
Yeah,
wild.
it was
That was a
crazy.
wild ride of a movie. I
Yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed like every single element of it.
me
I
too.
don't have like any negative comments or criticisms. There was nothing that really didn't work for me at all in this movie. I was truly blown away and couldn't stop thinking about it for days on end
Oh,
after
I
how
same.
good it
I
was.
I have a few more. I won't spend too much time on each of them, but I want to like run through a few more things that I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
One, I actually just like love this concept. It's not an original concept. I be careful what you wish
It's
for
original
trope.
take.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
an
I was gonna
original
say
take on a familiar trope.
yeah, I was gonna say the be careful what you wish for trope. Like we've seen it a million times, but I do think a lot of times it is either like a comedy or a drama where it's like they have to figure something out and then they'll go back to
Hmm.
normal, everything will be fine. So I really like this take where it's like, no, like it's not be careful what you wish for. It's like your wish was bad and you shouldn't have made that wish and there's consequences. And like I really enjoyed that they took like a twisted version. Cause like in 13 going on 30 for example, it's like she needs to like realize something in order to like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like it's always like stuff like that. I feel like once you realize it, then you can go back to your old
Hmm.
life, and it's like there was no realizing. Like he actually just like allowed his worst self to make this wish. So love that take on the trope. It
Wait,
was the
really quick to
yeah,
jump on that. Cooper's wish was for $1 billion.
that was so
And I
funny.
saw a comment online and it was like, he didn't seem to have any negative ties to his wish. He got the $1 billion. And someone commented below that he did get shot in the face just a couple minutes after that, though.
Yeah, but that didn't
He
have
did
anything to
get
do
shot
with
before.
that. Was still negative consequences of Bear's wish though.
True. But also it could have been his, like, oh, I got $1 billion, but I die before I can spend $1 of it. Like you don't ever know what
Maybe.
that was.
Yeah,
And he
that's fair.
didn't
I
spend
guess
any time on it. It just was
it just
like,
happens so
dude, I
fast.
got $1 billion. Let's go. And I got shot.
People keep posting there's like this picture of Patrick from SpongeBob and like he has like the hole blasted through his head. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But people keep putting that in the comments and they're like Ian. It's like that picture and it's so funny. But yeah, I don't think that that was part of Ian's wish, but that's an interesting take. It could have been like where
I
it's
mean,
like
there's no way that that wish would have just had no negative consequences. And he did die
fair.
immediately after making that wish.
Yeah, but don't you feel like he would have died anyways, even if he didn't make that wish because she was just going crazy?
Maybe. But
Uh,
would he have burst in there had that not been
fair,
the case? And
fair.
it was someone who was also wish controlled that did that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, anyways, that part, love that whole sequence. That I thought that was great. Love the concept. And then I thought the jump scares were really good. Like I feel like
Hmm.
I've seen some people be like, oh, they relied too much on jump scares, but it's like that's kind of comes with the
There
territory
wasn't
of
that many.
also like
There,
that.
there was a few.
Yeah, there was only a few, but also that truly is like what comes with the territory of
Yeah.
horror movies. And it's like to me, I loved it. I thought it was great. There was that one I went with my friend Laura and like we literally like grabbed each other at the car scene. Like we were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it
And
was
you
that
knew
was a
it was
good
coming
one.
the
Yep.
whole time.
Yep. So yeah,
Oh.
that was basically overall so
Did you
great.
see the helmet with the wig that she wore for that?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so funny.
That was funny.
Just really cool filmmaking stuff. Everything I've seen from afterwards, and you could feel all that stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
Like it was, he did an incredible job with this one, and
So
I'm
good.
very excited to see what comes next.
There was really only a couple of things that I would say like I didn't like, and I wouldn't even say I didn't like them. I think they were more just like nitpicks, like nothing
Hmm.
like crazy. But there's like a common thing in like every horror movie where it's like no one calls the police and no one gets authorities involved. And like I'm not saying like Bear, like I understand why Bear didn't call the police for his own sick reasons. Like I understand why
Yeah,
he wasn't getting Nikki help because he also was dealing he was being evil, so like I get why he didn't. But like the fact that Ian or Sarah or no one else or even
anyone at the
any no
party?
at the party, it's like no the fact that no that net that I always think of that whenever I watch a horror movie because it happens in a lot of them where it's like
Hmm.
something jarring will happen and then it's like no one goes to the authorities. Like it's even if she didn't stab herself in the face with the bottle, it's like wouldn't people see that your friend is like wouldn't they think my friend is having a mental health crisis? Like I know she doesn't like Bear and
Yeah,
also she's acting like not herself. She's not doing anything that she normally does. Her mood is shifting really like it's like at minimum she's having a mental health crisis and no one got her help. And I think like naturally when you watch movies you think like, well what would I do in this situation? Um And I would absolutely, if I saw one of my best friends acting like that and acting crazy like that, I would absolutely be contacting everyone. It's like, did she not have any other family or friends? Like, I know they mentioned
Yeah.
her dad, obviously not really being like they weren't close, whatever.
I
Like,
know they
they
never
didn't,
mentioned her
but they never
mom
mentioned
or
her mom or if she had any siblings or if she had any other family around. And it's like the fact that like all of this was happening, and again, I am really just like being nitpicky right now because this is something that happens in a lot of horror movies, but like that always sits with me. I'm always like, seriously, like no one got help. Like that's
yeah.
crazy. And then you get to the party scene. She stabs herself. Like clearly something is so
Yeah.
wrong with her, and no one at the party got authorities involved at all. The
I
authorities
do have
only showed up after
one.
Sarah. I think after Sarah died was when the cops. Wasn't it like sirens like at the end or whatever?
I think
Um,
so, and that was like
way later.
gunshots had
Yeah,
gone off
yeah. There were
and
gunshots.
whatnot.
Sarah's dead. Like there's a lot of stuff happening at that. Like yeah, Ian's dead.
Oh, that was
There's
chaos at the end
yeah,
too. That was
it
so
was
wild.
chaos. So like at that point, yeah, cops were probably coming and she's probably going to get taken away. But
Mhm.
the whole movie leading up to that, it's like if one of my like the four of them seem to be best friends. If one of my best friends was acting like that, you
Like
bet your
having that
ass
much of a
I'm calling
psychotic
their
break.
mom, I'm calling their doctor, I'm calling the
Yeah.
cops, I'm calling everyone because I want to make
I
sure
have
that
one
they're not like gonna
question.
die.
After that party scene, there's a shot where the camera's quite far away and it's a car pulling up to the hospital. And
Yeah.
someone from the hospital came out, talked to them, and they were like, hands up, walked away. And he got back in the car and drove her home.
Yeah.
I
So I
didn't
guess
understand that.
but that's the thing is like I understand I think they were like we're not treating her. She was acting crazy. It maybe like I don't know.
Okay.
I think that's what happened.
Like, is that how hospitals work?
I don't think
This
so.
person bleeding from the face
Wait,
seems kind of
before
scary.
we
Just
go any
go home.
further, I'm googling this really quick cuz I did think about that but I forgot to like look into it more.
That was the
Um
only, and I don't have a problem with it. That was the
yeah.
only thing I was like, oh, wait, I didn't actually understand what just happened. He went to go get her help. She's staying in the car. He's
Oh
like
yeah, it
trying
just
to
says
get help.
she refused medical treatment. She didn't consent to go
Okay,
inside. And that's why she was stayed around and danced like around the car. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was that they were just not going to treat her because she was acting like that,
okay,
but
that
she
makes more
refused
sense.
medical treatment and if I guess if you do that
That
then
she could stay with Bear.
exactly. So yeah, that makes sense then. But yeah, that scene was crazy. But so like Bear did try one time, the absolute bare minimum after your freaking girlfriend's face is bashed and you try to take her to the
Yeah,
hospital. But I'm not even talking about Bear in this with this like nitpick. I'm talking about everyone else in the entire
everybody
movie. Like,
else.
does she not have any other family or friends? Like that part to me, I'm just like, there's she only has three friends and one of them is manipulating her right now and the other two don't
Yeah,
care. I was like, what? So yeah,
the
that
other people at the Wish store were hilarious, by the
yeah.
way. Well,
That
yeah,
was
it
funny.
works. Oh, I already used my wish.
Yeah, that was funny.
Um,
His wish clearly worked out for him, whatever that was. So,
yeah.
um, another thing that it's not necessarily that I didn't like it. I'm more just kind of like confused by the curse. And I know you mentioned before that you liked like how ambiguous like the curse was left, like they didn't really
Mhm.
explain it. And like I like that too, but I was almost just a little confused, like because they portrayed the curse as like an entity of some sort, like taking over her that was like separate from her because she could break out of it at some points, whatever. So it's like
Mhm.
if that's the case, like how does the curse work? Like are there like evil spirits like running the one like running the one wish willow world that like how do they enforce these wishes? Like that's the part that I'm kind of confused because like normally a
I
curse
love that we don't know.
I kind of do too. I just want to talk through it, but like I feel like normally a curse it would be like your whole like I can understand it more if it was like her whole self was taken over. There was no Nikki anymore. It was
Yeah,
just like that to me would make almost a little more sense, but the fact that she was still in there made me think that like the curse was like something if that makes sense. So like I was
yeah.
almost like confused. I'm like I did not like it. I just was like genuinely confused like who enforces the wish? Like, you know what I mean? And we'll never
Have
know.
you have you seen any of the online theories that the entity that embodied her was the
Oh, the
cat?
cat? I did see that. I kinda liked
Yeah,
that.
I like that too.
It's
It's
not
not
true. Yeah, I was
airtight.
gonna say
It
it's not
doesn't hold
true,
up. It's not
but it
true.
was a
But I
fun
like that
theory.
theory. But I
Yeah.
do think realistically that the cat-like behaviors was that Wish Nikki knew that Bear loved his cat and his cat died and she's obsessed with him,
Yeah.
so she's mimicking certain
Yeah. That
behaviors
makes a lot more
that
sense.
same with Sarah. Like I think she actually fucking scalped her and either drew on or cut off her
That was
tattoos
so sick.
to mimic her, like to
Yeah.
mimic things that Bear has feelings for.
Yeah.
She behaves in that way. So I think that's what the cat behavior was, but that shit was so creepy. Any of her moving when she is
Yeah.
standing still, sprints towards him, stops and backs up, like any of the movement stuff was so
Yeah.
scary.
It was really, really weird, and they did such a good job. And I know you mentioned I can't remember if it was Sean Fennessy said that he thought that it was obvious that the lighting was done by like amateur filmmakers, like,
But that
and
it works on
yeah, I was gonna say I
audiences.
actually felt like it. I don't know what he said like beyond that. I don't know if he said that he like thought it
Hmm.
worked or whatever, but I very much thought the lighting worked. I think that like
I thought so
it
too.
felt like real lighting. Like if like, you can't see, not everything has like a perfect dim lit
Yeah.
where you can like see
Like
someone's
dark
face.
suburbia.
Yeah, exactly. It very much felt like you were in an old house and there was creepy lighting and you can't always make out what you're looking at. Like that to me, I felt like added to the story. And also, I just personally like love when it doesn't look like Netflix lighting and like Hollywood, like just super like perfected in every single way. Like I think like it adds to it in so many different ways. It makes it feel more
Hmm.
real. I just feel like overall, like despite the fact that this was like an insane movie based on like a wish that comes true, whatever, like it felt very real. Like all components
I
of it.
thought
It
so.
felt like real life. It felt the lighting I thought was good.
Yeah, it was
It,
fantastical but weirdly grounded.
yeah,
The
like I was like,
characters,
wow,
the performances,
yeah.
the world. I think if it did over explain this curse or this entity or whatever it was, that if it was over explained, I think it would have pulled us out of that
And
grounded
I
feel.
agree. I think I was just more like speculating like what
We're
is
as
this curse?
confused as
Yeah.
the people are.
Yeah,
And
like I don't even think that Curry Barker like developed anything for that. Like I think that was the
mhm,
goal all along was to not have it have like this backstory. It's like he doesn't even know because he didn't write anything for that.
yeah.
So yeah, I do like that it was kept like as a mystery and yeah, I think that it really added to the story. Um but yeah, any other thoughts on these movies before we jump into a couple open discussion questions?
Not particularly. Actually, I do have one thing. I think this might be the first movie in history that you've loved where something awful happens to a cat in it.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my god, I'm like immediately a cat is dead. And like and it's not even just like the cat died. It's like that was a plot
That was the
device.
least bad thing that happened to the cat
Well,
was
no,
its
I know. Yeah. I was going to say it was like it kept coming back up. It was like
oh,
next thing you know
those
he's
were
eating the
awful.
cat and it's like yeah,
Him
it just
bringing or her bringing the cat out like a shrine and them
I was like,
arguing
dude.
like off camera
Yeah.
was wild. And then the him eating his sandwich, which it's like I would you have actually like if I'm eating a sandwich that isn't turkey or ham, I'm gonna know right away.
Well, you got to understand,
Or
he's got his own set of issues. Like he's not well also. And like
yeah,
he's
that's true. That's
infatuated
true.
by the fact that like not only is Nikki like obsessed with me now, but also like Sarah's talking to me and like I like he's got this attention that he's never had. I think he was
Yeah.
purely just distracted and like but I agree. I think why would you ever I would first of all, I don't even think I would eat a sandwich that anyone made me other than like a restaurant with health codes.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just going around eating mystery sandwiches and under
'Cause
any
when
circumstance.
he's like eating it and doing the
Yeah, it's like aren't you curious what
like
is open it? Like
look at it or spit it out.
literally.
If
And
you're
then
not
he
identifying what it is after a bite,
right. Yeah, so that was that part too. I know I thought the same thing. I was like that's crazy that you didn't realize that the meat was gray and rotten. Like I was like that's interesting that you're
it
eating
doesn't
rotten
it smell
meat.
like fucking shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was funny. All right. So in terms of open discussion, I have like kind of like a part one question with like a part two to it.
Mhm,
And that is just I kind of want to just discuss this whole idea of like these two young filmmakers getting into the mix and creating really great movies and making a lot of money, which is something that like we don't always see, especially in the horror genre.
mhm,
And then also kind of as like a offshoot to that question, like how do we think that this is going to have an impact on the horror genre in future years? Um, I can quickly share a couple of thoughts that I had first. I think at first I was like, feeling very hopeful for like the future of film and like the future of the horror genre, and just like the ability for like young filmmakers to like get this support and be able to like create these stories on like a real scale. So like I was kind of like, at first I was like, wow, like I'm really hopeful. But then I had like a moment of like, wait, is this all going to get ruined because it's going to become a trend and like a bunch of people are going to do it because all of these studios are going to think they can make a lot of money?
Probably
And
both.
so then I like started to be like, wait, I actually like want to like stop. I'm like, no more. It was perfect. Leave it at Backrooms and Obsession. Obviously, I don't actually feel that way. I think young
Yeah.
filmmakers should be getting these opportunities, and I think it's great that this is happening. But part of me is like, Netflix is gonna get their hand in here somewhere, and they're gonna ruin it, and they're gonna add their dumb Netflix lighting and their horrible plot and their weird actors
They're
and
gonna
actresses
pick
that they
the
love.
wrong people from YouTube to
Yeah,
back, and they're
that's
gonna give
true.
them too big of budgets and bad scripts.
I hope the right
Um,
people would say no to like a huge studio movie. Like that's kind of like what
yeah.
I'm getting at. Like, but at the same time,
I
like
hope these
they,
people from YouTube will say no to millions.
yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I think at the same time, why would they ever say no to that? But that's why like I get a little nervous that like that studios are gonna see that this is a trend. Like, let's grab a random weird YouTube concept or something, like whatever, get a young
Yeah,
person and just like make this movie. And then it's like I'm just nervous that it's gonna be like in the
the
wrong hands.
influencer. Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of just plug and play this with scripts that have been kicking around in it
Yeah.
for a while, and then some sort of influencer. I mean, these guys were making good content on
Yeah.
YouTube, and there are lots of other people making good content. And one thing I really would love to see is not, as much as I loved these two movies, and I'm really excited to see how these careers unfold for the next several decades. I'm less interested in these two guys next, you know, huge budget movies, and more interested in what some studios are going to do with like maybe giving small budgets on like
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
creators, maybe like horror short people. It's like, okay, give them $1 million and see what they can do,
Yeah. Because they're
instead of
resourceful and they can do something with
giving one
it.
of these guys now $100 million to, and putting all that pressure on to be profitable on
Yeah.
a bigger idea with like action set pieces and whatnot. It's like, no, like, do this again, and they're not all going to be good, but if you do this 10 times, maybe two of them are good.
Yeah.
And the other ones, you spent $8 million making 8 movies that aren't that good, those can go right to streaming and they're forgotten about, but then those
Yeah.
other two have a chance to be like this.
No, I think that's a really good like almost like idea for studios, is to cut it out with the
Mhm.
multi like hundreds of millions of dollars of budgets that they have. Like cut it out. Like nobody has
Yeah,
ever,
dial it back.
those movies, like you're wasting so much money when like you could have spent less and made a profit, like you're saying, like let's make a profit multiple times instead of
Yeah,
hoping that this one movie is going to make $1 billion, which like we know it's not going to. It's like there's so many movies out there that have like a whatever $300 million budget and all these A-listers, and then no one wants to see it because we don't actually care about that right now. The only people going to see
both of
those,
these movies outgrossed Mandalorian and Grogu.
yeah, I'm not surprised because people are over that
Supergirl
shit.
is bombing right now too.
Yeah,
Like,
those movies are
these
dead.
are
And
big budget
yeah.
movies
See, that
that
gives me hope,
people,
is that people as us as like a collective audience, like society
yeah.
is stopping like supporting those movies as much, because like, oh my god, the only thing that will get them to stop making them is if they make no money. So
Mhm.
well, actually that might not even stop them. They still keep making these movies. But again, once the bank starts hurting, then I think that
Learn,
they'll
though. Learn
hopefully
from it.
learn to not do that. But it's like we're done. It's the days of these huge blockbuster Marvel and Star Wars movies where you make 35 movies on the same topic is like, I think that they're coming to an end, and I hope they are, because I was never on board with them. But I do feel like they are slowly but surely
We'll
coming to
get
an
to
end.
some of those eventually in Val's a Hater
Oh my
series,
god, I
but
literally am dreading it. I'm like, hey, how come Matthew doesn't have to watch Obsession and Backrooms, but I have to watch all the freaking Harry Potter
well,
movies?
maybe we'll do a movie night on Obsession soon, because
No, no, no.
this
Matthew
movie
would hate
was
it.
amazing.
Yeah, it was
This really
perfect.
felt like an instant classic, which I didn't get that feeling from Backrooms.
I
Again,
get
not
that.
sitting on
No,
Backrooms,
I agree
that it
though.
was very well made. I enjoyed it. Obsession felt like an instant classic,
Yeah.
and I've only seen it the one time. I cannot wait to watch it again. I think it's coming out on DVD. They're immediately releasing a 4K version of it, and I might go buy that.
Yeah,
Like
I
that
just
comes out
saw
like this week.
I just saw that I think it's streaming on, is it HBO or Amazon? I can't remember which, or maybe I can't remember
Maybe
what it was.
still in theaters, and I might go see it tomorrow on
Oh,
Cheap
I was
Movie
so I
Tuesday.
know. It's like it's so funny too, because like there's so much to unpack with this movie too. Like we didn't even get into like the whole idea of
I
the
know.
fact about like Bear and like his personality,
Yeah,
why he
we
did the things
barely
that
touched on. Yeah,
there's so much that we could talk about. But yeah, I mean, I feel like for how much of like almost like a hard watch it was also like the most entertaining movie, and I would want to watch it again. It's like it's kind of funny because like they're it's like sick and twisted, but like I want to watch it 6 times and catch things that I missed
yeah,
and like analyze these characters further. It is just yeah, it's so good. There's so much to unpack there, and I really hope that this kind of gives a horror like genre a better name. I think like we're on the up and up. I do feel like I
yeah.
think there has been some really good like movies in the past, I don't know, maybe like 5 years that I feel like have
And
made people take the
that's been
genre more
kind of that
seriously. Um,
elevated horror
yeah,
boom that happened
yeah,
from like Hereditary and a lot of these
exactly.
A24 movies. And then I mean last year we got Weapons,
Yeah.
and that was a phenomenon
Hmm.
too. I mean, does this year, you're a big horror fan and you do watch most of the horror movies that are coming out. Does this year 2026 so far feel different, or does it feel like it's still in progression with what we've been seeing the past few years?
I think it's one of the best years so far. I mean, obviously Backrooms and Obsession being the ones that are
Hmm.
kind of holding it like or
Yeah.
carrying, I feel like the horror genre. I think that I'm trying to think back because the thing is I don't always watch every movie that comes out during the year that it comes out, so it's hard for
Yeah,
me to
you might be
pinpoint like what
missing.
year they come out in. Like I watch basically every single one of them, but I couldn't tell you what year they were.
Hmm.
This was like this year and maybe last year were some of the first years where I actually watched like every single horror movie that came out, like, and I can
Yeah.
recognize like that was a 2025, that was 2026, whatever. But I definitely feel like it's hard for me to pinpoint, but I have watched a lot this year and they have been pretty good. I just watched Faces of Death the other day, and
Hmm.
it by no means was it groundbreaking, but it was entertaining and I did like it. Um Also Hokum, really good. uh
That one's on my
Adam
list.
Scott
Hope.
is so good, and I really like that movie. There's a couple others that I saw Strangers Chapter 3, nothing to write home about. I just had to finish it because, I just had to
You
finish
saw the other two.
yeah, I already saw the other two, so I had to kind of see it through. I took, hold on, before we finish up, I did take a couple notes of other horror
Did
movies
you
that
see Bone Temple yet?
no, I have not.
I've heard that one's very good, and I've got that one on my list too.
That's
But
part of the 28 years later
yeah,
or 28 days later that
yeah,
world.
days, weeks, years, and then years. Bone Temple.
Okay.
So today we're covering Backrooms and Obsession. I
Yeah.
think for future horror corner, we're gonna have to cover the other movies that we've seen this year. Maybe we can do a look back at 2025
Yeah. Also
and
Send
other
Help.
things that have led to
We could,
this.
not that that's even necessarily horror, but we could talk about Send Help in a future episode too. We can keep
We'll
this.
talk about Send
Yeah,
Help
I was saying we
next
can talk about it
episode
offline.
because I loved Send Help.
Yeah, that
I
Send Help was good.
really loved that movie. That was this year, right? That was like February.
Yeah, I think it was this year. So yeah,
Wow.
we've got some movies that we can talk about in future horror episodes. And also, like I
Mhm.
mentioned at the beginning, if there are any specific movies that anybody else out there has seen that you think would be interesting to talk about, or even concepts like within this, like kind of how we talked about like what these movies might mean for the genre, whatever, like anything like that. Because I feel like the horror genre is like one that there's a lot to unpack, and I feel like this could be a fun new series where we just
Yeah.
chat through all of this.
Please email us at popcornintheface@gmail.com. If you have any recommendations for this horror corner, for movie nights, any
Yes.
questions you have, please email us there. That's going to be the best way to get a hold of us.
Yeah, we'll start checking our emails starting now.
Yeah, I'll start checking next month. So some stuff in there.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Popcorn in the Face. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Popcorn in the Face Pod for episode updates, behind the scenes content, and all of our movie opinions. New episodes will be available on Wednesdays on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, so be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss one. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.